Hey guys, it's Sandro here with a follow-up video on the best hydrophobic snow foams. Now in truth, the whole reason for this second follow-up video was due to a single factor, being that in the original video I didn't dilute Auto-Gleam Polyseal to the manufacturer's recommendation of 1 to 5 parts water, but rather used it in a more standard 1 to 9 dilution along with all the other hydrophobic foams. So in this video, I'm basically going to be looking at the water behaviour in relation to the water sheeting rates, water bead contact angles, and overall just seeing if all these hydrophobic foams behave any differently to the first video, and if the extra 1 to 5 concentration ratio of Auto-Gleam Polyseal behaves better in this second round of testing. So unlike the first video that also looked at things like gloss, slickness, streaking, and chemical resistance, this quicker follow-up video will primarily focus on the hydrophobic water behaviour, as after all, these are all claimed to be hydrophobic snow foams. Now all the test panels were painted in the exact same paint at the exact same time, and were all prepared and decontaminated identically, all having completely flat and identical pooling water behaviour, so that hopefully we can have some fair and consistent results. And I also think it's important for me to reiterate that I start my testing on dramatically flat and dramatically slow water sheeting paints and panels, and not on paint that is already showing minor signs of positive hydrophobic behaviour. I mention this because it's an important factor to note that it does test all these products on a more extreme level in their ability to transform the paint's behaviour. So going in the same order as the first video, CarPro Hydro 2 foam was first up. Once again, the application of all 4 hydrophobic snow foams was completely identical, by firstly pre-soaking the panel with water, then applying the snow foam, allowing it to dwell for approximately 1 minute and then rinsing it off. Now I'm going to have to say that just like in the first video, it was almost an identical result with the first application over completely bare wet paint. It definitely wasn't what I consider to be a crazy hydrophobic finish in relation to water sheeting and beading, but still a vast improvement over the bare paint. And just like in the first video, I'm also going to give all the panels a second coat with each of the sealants to see if they do in fact improve their water behaviour as they did in that video. And once again, hopefully you guys can see that this second layer or application has definitely improved the hydrophobic behaviour by at least 50% in my eyes, with much better sheeting and far more pronounced water bead contact angles, almost identical to the original video going by memory. Next up was Auto-Gleam Polyseal, which was applied in the very same manner, with the only difference being its slightly stronger 1 to 5 dilution ratio. Now I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself a lot in this video, so please excuse me if I do sound like a broken record. But in all honesty, with this stronger dilution ratio, the water behaviour looks very similar to the original video. Maybe it's a little better, I'm not sure, but in any case, it's honestly not exactly great or overly hydrophobic, as the water is quite slow to sheet and its contact angles are on the flatter side. After a second layer of Polyseal, I think it's definitely sheeting slightly quicker with slightly better water contact angles, so once again an improvement to the first single layer, and perhaps also maybe a little better than in the first video. But it's just hard to deny that it's just not great and not in the same league as the previous panel with CarPro Hydro 2 foam. The third test panel was with Bowden's own Happy Ending. I think the hydrophobic water behaviour with the first application was again really close to the first video, definitely being one of the better results, if not the best. It just feels like Happy Ending has a better ability to penetrate the standing water, and I'm also guessing it's probably got a higher active strength concentration, as it also seems to foam up a lot less than the others and requires a bit more product to evenly coat the panel. Once the second application or coat was properly rinsed off, it did also improve the water sheeting and beading hydrophobic behaviour yet again, and just like in the first video, perhaps a touch better than the others, with quite a good and instant result. Lastly was Fireball Ultimate Hydrophobic Foam. I honestly don't know what to tell you guys, other than it was, yes, you guessed it, once again very close to the original test, being very close to CarPro Hydro 2 in its overall water behaviour. And as per all the other hydrophobic snow foams, the second layer and coat of Ultimate Hydrophobic Foam did definitely improve the water behaviour further, with some slightly quicker sheeting and better water contact angles. Though this time I did notice that it took a little longer to rinse off the residue in this second application before the panel started behaving better. Overall, for you guys that have seen the original video, I think it's fair to say that apart from some very minor and normal variations, the results were extremely close and consistent across both videos. Bowden's own Happy Ending once again performed very well straight off the bat, though this time I'd say that CarPro Hydro 2 Foam edged a little closer to it. Fireball Ultimate Hydrophobic Foam was again reasonably solid in third place, and Autogleam Polyseal did perhaps see a slight improvement, but really didn't excel based on its performance compared to the rest. Now one thing I actually noticed being outside for this follow-up video was that after the panels had been out in the sun for an hour or so, the water behaviour actually got better, as you'll hopefully see. The water sheeting seemed quicker all round, and some of the panels actually started beading water in areas that were previously flat. Most obvious was in fact Polyseal that seemed to benefit extraordinarily well after a bit of UV light, indicating that a bit of curing time after the foams have been applied and rinsed off can in fact improve the water behaviour and the surface tension of the paint quite noticeably. As you guys continue to look at the water behaviour, I'm just going to conclude this video with a few comments and thoughts. Firstly, I accept that no video I've ever done or will ever do will be flawless or perfect. We're all human, guys. But having said that, my intention with these videos is to try and provide helpful and insightful information to the best of my ability, and I hope that making this second follow-up video shows that. Secondly, it's a heck of a lot of work making these videos, so I'm certainly not going to make a habit of doing these repetitive follow-up videos because a select few people don't like the results. And if you can't deal with me thinking outside the box and not always following the manufacturer's recommendations, then this really isn't the detailing channel for you. Not following the manufacturer's recommendations has allowed me to discover that Meguiar's ceramic wax lasts longer and performs better when applied to dry paint. It allowed me to discover that most car wash detergents are far more affordable and effective when used and diluted in spray bottles. And it also allowed me to discover that most car paint compounds also work exceedingly well on glass and metal trims, and that the original Sea Quartz UK worked staggeringly better as a wipe on and immediately wipe off application in normal weather conditions. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm certainly not going to stop my testing and exploration of detailing products because a select few seem to get their panties in a wad when I do so. A recommendation is exactly that, a recommendation, not a law or certainty. Now, I'll also say that overall, Polysil actually did end up behaving and performing perhaps a little better at its recommended 1:5 dilution, but is it really in the same league as the others? I'll let you guys decide for yourselves. It's also important to note that at its higher recommended concentration, it effectively doubles the price of Polysil compared to the rest, making it way more expensive than the others, at least based on the prices here in Australia, which does put its value into question. Now, for those of you that have actually watched my past videos, you'll know that I actually do like many of Autogleam's products, many of which I've given positive reviews to on this very same channel throughout the years. But I'm not for a moment gonna lie or be fearful for honestly judging any detailing product by any brand. And if you still believe that my testing is flawed or biased, even after I've taken the time to make this second video, maybe the real issue is your own bias. Just saying. In the end, my recommendation is to always use what you like and what works best in your world. And if I can help any of you guys out with questions or queries, you should know by now that I'm always happy to help. I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this video useful. Please like, comment and subscribe to this channel to show your support for these videos, and I'll see you guys soon.